What's up, everybody? I'm struggling this morning to get this video started because I'm not sure I don't even know where to begin. I actually had to start watching the footage that I've already started editing and putting together last week to even see where I need to start this morning, because there's been so much happen since Friday. Every time I start a video, the dog starts shitting in the yard. If you all are wondering how difficult it is to make content for YouTube every single day, let me explain something to you. There's always a bird shitting on my head, a dog shitting in the yard in the background, a four-wheeler next door revving up and going across the lot and screwing up the audio, some Jake Yahoo coming down the road and revving his shit in front of the house, and this random car just drove around the circle driveway and is now sitting at the end of my driveway, making the dogs bark. I have no idea who that is or why they would be in my driveway. Wife bitching and hollering at her computer because it doesn't work right all of a sudden, just out of the blue. It never ends. It's difficult, but let's get back to this video. So we're just gonna start this video Friday morning when we went to Pacemakers to host a no prep test and tune and a driver seminar. So Friday morning, I had put on Facebook that Billy, me, Tommy, and Allison were going to host a no prep test and tune with a driver and crew training seminar at Pacemakers Dragway at 10:30 in the morning. So I got up early, headed out to the shop. We planned on taking the Falcon up there to scuff the tires and let Tommy practice pulling the chute. But Billy showed up late, very late, excruciatingly late, and I was aggravated. Excruciatingly aggravated, as usual. But we had a beautiful day scheduled, and even though we were barely getting the car loaded up by the time the driver's meeting was supposed to start, I was determined not to let this ruin my day. We were supposed to be there at 10:30. It's 7 minutes until 10, and we had just tied the Falcon down. But we got on the road. We're flying up to Pacemakers up 661 north out of Granville, and we got there just in time to get everything ready. The new owners at Pacemakers have been working hard to get this place reopened. I'm excited. The patio is a perfect place to hold a driver's training seminar. So we started out letting everybody who came introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their car and why they were here. We had a little bit of everything, from Fox body Mustangs to Firebirds. So we sat down, I did a little bit of an explanation on the patio as to what to expect, what to look for, and then I spent over an hour on the starting line explaining in detail, step by step, how to line cars up in the groove, where you need to put them in the groove, what to look for, and the basics of what everyone needs to know before we get started. Then we let each driver come up and make a pass with their crew on the track, and we examined close-up, detailed video with Tommy and Allison and helped everybody make suspension changes and examine the video so that you can tell whether you need to up the tire pressure or lower the tire pressure. Now, the driver and crew training seminar went really, really well. I purposely kept it as low-key as I possibly could because I didn't want to be flooded with cars up there. And even though it was on a Friday morning at 10:30 on a work day, we still had cars come from as far away as 2.5 hours the other side of Ohio, all the way down to West Virginia. We had a guy drove 4.5 hours up here from West Virginia, left at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there. And I was afraid that might happen, and that's why I was so upset with Junior when he didn't get up on time, and because I was afraid, I didn't know who was coming or what was coming. But when someone's leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning to come see you and try to learn something from you, they're taking a day off work. In this case, it was two guys, took a day off work, left at 4 o'clock in the morning to come up there with us, and we're greatly appreciative of it. I'm sorry, guys, that we were late when we got there, but it's one of them things. So anyway, I had no idea. Well, I mean, I had some idea how important it is for these driver training classes. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but it takes a lot out of me. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And I don't feel that I'm the best at speaking publicly. I have to try very hard at it. I'm kind of an introvert. I don't do very well in crowds of people. I don't do very well with strangers, although I try my hardest. It's difficult for me. But this sport, this lifestyle has been so good to me and my family that I feel obligated to give back and give something back to the community that's been so good to us. And whether it's the kids' big wheel races, or whether it's a driver crew training seminar class, or whatever the case may be, we don't want to be, well, at least I don't want to be known as a family who just takes something from the sport and never gives back. I want to see people do well. I want to see the sport grow. I love it. I love no prep racing. I've been a bracket racer my whole life, and I'm telling you right now, I enjoy watching my kids do this stuff, although it is sometimes excruciatingly difficult. It's dangerous. There's no question it's dangerous. Little did I know that we were preparing to go to one of the most dangerous no prep races anywhere in the country the next day. We came home, had dinner, cleared all the boxes out of the shipping and receiving area and burnt them outside, and packed up everything in the race car trailer so that we could head to Brown County Saturday morning. Billy and Tommy had already loaded the Falcon, the four-wheeler, and the scooter, and Vicky had washed all the bedding and cleaned the inside of the trailer to a T. We were almost ready. All we had to do was load up the totes of all the merchandise, load up the tent, and finish packing the Suburban, and we would be ready to go the next morning. Saturday morning, the air was cool, the sky was a little cloudy. We might have a little bit of rain on our trip over to Indiana, but it looked like the weather was going to clear up nice. The dogs were ready to go, and we hit the road. But I had no idea what we were in for. I got to sit down to talk about this one. I may pass out because my blood pressure is probably going to skyrocket. So, the dually has a 30-gallon tank, 32-gallon, whatever. It goes about 120 miles on a tank of fuel pulling a 50-foot trailer. And we get to the outer belt around Cincinnati, and we're getting ready to jump off on 74 or 75 and head west over towards Nashville, Indiana. And the dually's running out of fuel pretty fast. So I tell Vicky, who's riding with me, tell the kids I need to get fuel immediately, find a station. And that's not easy to do with a 50-foot trailer. I swear gas pumps attract the dumbest people on earth. So Billy jumps off at an exit, the same exit we get off to go to Edgewater. I know that there's 2 fuel stations on the right, neither one of them very easy to get into. I knew that those were there, but I have never turned left. I've never gone that way. I don't know what's down there. There may be another station that way. I don't know. Get to the bottom of the off-ramp and Billy turns left, and I'm supposed to be following him to the gas station. They didn't tell me, the kids didn't tell me that they were going to take me to a parking lot so that I could unhook the trailer and then take the truck to get fuel. They didn't relay that information at all. So I turn left right with them. And then they immediately start turning left into this park and ride parking lot, which was clear full. There was no way I could get in there regardless. So I go straight. Finally, because of bad cell phone service and text messages that take forever to get relayed back and forth, I find out the kids' plan was for me to follow them into that parking lot to unhook the trailer, which I couldn't have done anyway. So here comes the blood pressure rising. So I drive 2 miles down the road. It says make a U-turn on the directions. Vicky's using her cell phone for GPS. It says drive 2 miles, make a U-turn. So we drive 2 miles down the road, and the U-turn that they expect me to make is in the housing addition entrance, where there's an island in the middle and trees and bushes and flowers, and there is absolutely no way I can make a U-turn pulling a 50-foot trailer. So we go past, rerouting. Now it says drive 3 miles down and make a right. So we drive 3 more miles. This is 5 total now. 5 miles total out of the way. We drive the other 3 miles down there, 5 total out of the way, and turn right on this road I've never been on. And it weaves back and forth through some trees. It's kind of narrow. I'm thinking maybe it's going to take me back around. It goes straight up a mountainside, switchbacks, back and forth up this mountainside. I'm in first gear in the dually. I'm in low gear, air conditioning turned off. I've got this thing on the floor. We get to the 3rd switchback up the hill, and I can see that it turns right again at the top of the hill, and I'm praying to God that's the top of the hill. We're down to about 2 miles an hour. The dually's on the floor. I have no more power. There's 6 cars stacked behind me. The road is just barely wide enough for a car and a half. And I get to the top of this hill and I'm looking, and as we crest it, I can see that it now goes to a steeper incline and goes up another 1/8 of a mile. There's no way I'm gonna make it. At the last second, I look to my left and there's a clearing. There's a clearing. Like someone's taken off part of this mountainside and made a front yard on the side of this hill. And it's just barely big enough for me to turn this 50-foot trailer around, and I got 1 shot at it. I have no idea how wet it is. We've had a lot of rain here lately. I have no idea. All I know is if I stay on this road and I make this curve to the right, I'm screwed. We'll have to unload the Falcon and pray to God the dually will start making the trip up the hill. We've done that before. I whip in this guy's driveway. There's 2 poles, one a mailbox and another pole, and I whip this 50-foot trailer through this guy's front yard, turn around, I apologize. God, I apologize so much, this person. But I whip this trailer in this guy's front yard, turn this thing around, and we start heading back down the hill. Vicky's literally got diarrhea. She's nervous as hell, praying the whole way. I'm mad as a hornet, madder than a hornet. We get back down the bottom of the hill. We finally get on 275, and we get on 74, 75, and we start heading west towards Indiana. Crises averted, or so I thought. Well, this wasn't the first time we've been in this predicament where the kids have led me into a trap with a 50-foot trailer and sticking me on the side of a mountain. But I got through it. Vicky and I are headed through the most beautiful countryside you can ever imagine as we cross through Indiana. The route that took us this way was probably not the best, but it was supposedly the fastest route. And given the scenery, I really didn't care. It took us through these really neat little towns with elevators, neat little farming communities. It was just absolutely gorgeous. So my blood pressure was going down. Vicky was enjoying the sights and the scenery, and we thought everything was a-okay. The dogs came up to check on me like they always do. Shivy can tell when I'm aggravated, so she comes up to love on me a little bit. She's a sweetheart. She pats on my hand to get me to pet her again, just to reassure her everything's okay. And everything was okay. For a while. Here's where everything starts to go bad. Since we were running behind, I chose a route, the quickest route. Let me explain. first, something about me and Vicky. I've known Vicky since I was 14 years old, and I love her dearly. She is the sweetest, most loving, most caring person you will ever meet in your life. I am the most luckiest man alive to have her as my wife. Wonderful mother. But when you ask her to read a map, oh my Lord. You ever seen what cotton candy does in the rain? I suspect that Vicky's brain does that same thing when she looks at a map, or I ask her to give me directions or to check directions. It's that bad. So the route we're on is taking us all these little county and township back roads, and they start to get narrower and narrower, and the bridges get to be difficult and more difficult and more difficult, to the point where I'm asking Vicky, you need to scroll in on the map, and if there's little squiggly lines that go all over the place, that's bad. We need to stick to state routes minimum, not county roads, not township roads. But she can't figure out how to scroll in to discern between a state route and a county or a township road. We're in big trouble. So we are at the part of the video where we're headed up the second mountain, and we're not sure if we're gonna make it.
The part where I'm praying really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna tell everybody what that was like, climbing that second mountain with no end in sight, not knowing if there's a second or a third one coming?
That was the longest, steepest grade. It felt like it took forever. I'm praying and holding the camera and praying, and there was a point when you could have walked faster than the dually was pulling. Like, you could have got out and walked faster. And it sounded like the truck was going to blow up. Engine, transmission, like one or the other was just gonna say, I surrender. I was frightened. And I promised myself quietly, I didn't say it out loud, that was my last trip in the dually to a track unknown and a route we don't know, fuel stops we haven't planned, never doing it again.
Ever.
Ever. Not even if there's a fire. Nope.
By the time we made it to the track, I was furious. To make matters worse, when we got to the track, I get out of the dually, and what do I see? The shit tank line got ripped off the freaking trailer. Now, keep in mind, we just pulled in to one of the biggest no prep races east of the Mississippi, and it's not like we're nobodies, like nobody knows who we are, like nobody would understand who that dually is, or when you see that old white dually pulling a 50-foot trailer, that's us, right? I mean, everybody knows that. And I've literally just driven in right past hundreds of people, and the shit tank line is dangling, and leaking. We've made it. Unfreaking believable. All this over terrible communication. Once I cooled down, I took a minute to go down and take a look at the track. This is our first time ever being at Brown County. Lo and behold, I find Mr. Limpy sitting down there in the chair, kicking back before the race. Now, War in the Woods is known to be the most sketchiest no prep in the country. The track surface really isn't that bad, but what makes this place so terrifying is beyond 330 feet and the culvert that goes under the track at about 300 feet. This culvert goes under the track diagonally and upsets the cars as they go across it. As long as you go across it dead center, you're fine. But if you get off on the edge, you're in big trouble. The edges have this terrible low spot that drops off. And then there's the shutdown. It's short. You can go off the end of the track and go back into the trees. But once you get all the way to the end, you run into tractor tires and a fence. If that's not terrible enough, Look at this.
We're here at Brown County Raceway. This is our first time here. This place is insane. Talk about a backwoods track. I mean, this thing is down in the middle of a holler in Indiana. I didn't even know there was hollers in Indiana, but I guess there is. I thought it was just all cornfields, but I was wrong. We had a hell of a time getting here. Dad dragged the shit tank line off the trailer, and he was mad. He had to empty the shit tank somewhere he shouldn't have. It was all bad. We had to ratchet strap the shit tank line up when he got here, and he was fuming. But we'll get to that later. There's like 40 cars here in small tire. It's gonna be crazy. Like everybody
just said the pot is like $13,000.
$13,000
for the buyback race.
When was it? A week or so ago we were at Marion?
Yeah, last weekend.
And Billy had this Camaro in the semifinal, and the guy jumped, and I walked away. I thought it was a jump, but anyway, they were upset that it got called a jump, and he's been running his mouth on the internet. But
Jesse Bowen said he wants the first round call out on Billy Hoskinson for $500. First pair down Saturday in small tire.
Oh shit. I like that.
he called Billy out for 500 first round. Billy told him make it 1,000. So we're gonna see if we can't put 1,000 in our pocket round one.
What do you think of the track?
It's sketchy. It's slick right now, but it's a good surface out to about 300 feet. And then there's a culvert that goes underneath the track, and it's not a straight across, it's at a diagonal angle. So it upsets the car like this. It's tricky. It makes the back end of it really bad, but I think we've got enough smarts to pull timing and pull a little bit of boost out of it, get over that hump, let the car settle down, and then start to roll it back in out the back. But we'll see. It's gonna be tough. Go across that starting line, dead straight, right in the groove. Whatever you got to do to make sure, try and get yourself straight when you're doing the burnout. Try not to, you know what I mean? Don't try to hold it back with the brake pedal. Just let it roll. Just be gentle with the brake if you have to slow it down, but I desperately need you to be right center of the groove and dead fucking straight on that burnout when you get to that ready line.
All right.
If you do that, he's fucked. No, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to death. These are my kids, man, you know? We've never been here. The track has gotten filthy dirty from people walking all over it, and when they shot those fireworks off, the hair stood up on my arms. I stood out there and prayed to God to be with my kids, to be with my family, to keep us safe so we could all go home in one piece. I wasn't worried about losing $1,000. I wasn't even worried about Billy not being able to beat that Camaro. My concern was that he would survive. When Billy did his burnout, the burnout was wide to the left of the groove. I was a little concerned about that, but I felt that I had no choice but to put him right in his tracks or else the truck would have spun. So even though his tracks were to the left of the groove, I went ahead and stuck him right in them and prayed that the little truck would stick. And it did. The truck went right down the lane, no problem. So we got Billy through first round, but then it was Tommy's turn. And Tommy went down right behind Nick Pluniak. Nick's car was leaking oil, something terrible. An accident. It happens. But it didn't make it any easier on my nerves.
Tommy's about to run first round and his lane is just covered in oil. It looks like it's going all the way out there.
Now, as a father, I can tell you this is very upsetting. Now, the track staff cleaned the lane as best they could. I watched them do it. I thanked them for their efforts. My job was now to put Tommy right down the center of that groove and straddle the oil that Nick had left on the track. Anything other than perfection would lead to catastrophe. Before Tommy fired the car up, I told him what had happened and that Nick had oiled his lane. I made it clear to him, no matter what happens, lift one time, we'll race next weekend. But the Falcon went right down the lane. Even though it got loose on the big end, Tommy let out just a little bit early, but he still got the win.
Never raced here. The grass kind of sketchy, and then there's the whole creek bed on the right side. So I was a little freaked out at first, but my first round nerves are gone now, and I think I've settled down. I'll be good to go. I think both cars did exactly what we planned for them to do. I actually let out early in the Falcon, and it still went really fast, so that makes me happy. So we took out one bar of weight. We took about 65 pounds out of the Falcon. I don't feel that it needs it anymore, and we really need to start getting after it in the 60 foot to be with some of these nitrous guys, some of these guys at 60 foot really hard, because there's not a whole lot to get a hold of after 300 feet. So we really got to take advantage of the 60 foot. So we're gonna try to hit it harder on the Falcon. I got the buy run this round, so I'm gonna throw something at it and see if it holds it. This is the time to do it.
So round two, first pair down right-hand lane is Nick Pluniak, and I had mentioned to one of his crew guys that was helping him, please make sure he fixes that oil leak. They assured me that he had taken a look at it. The problem is, it made a worse oil mess the second pass than it did the first one. Up next, right behind Nick, was Sam Walsh from Young and Boosted in his beautiful Monte Carlo. And unfortunately, Sam's crew didn't catch the oil down, or that they had run the slicks right through the oil on the one side. Sam almost crashed the Monte Carlo. Up next was Hate Tank. And I had told one of the guys on the Hate Tank crew, be careful, there's oil right down the middle of the lane. But there was nothing he could do at the time. He already had his tune-up in it. When the Mopar got loose, he got in the oil and almost crashed his car, running over the culvert at 300 feet. So now it's Tommy's turn. I carefully guided Tommy into the burnout box in hopes that he could do a nice straight burnout and straddle this oil one more time. He did a fantastic job, and I was sure to let him know when I got to the car to back him up. Everything was going to be okay. Billy helped me guide the little Falcon right back exactly in its tracks, and they were beautiful, straightforward, perfect. You couldn't get a better burnout. I brought Tommy up to the stage line and set him up, turned him loose. But I was absolutely scared to death. The little Falcon did exactly what we hoped it would do. It went straight. However, it carried the front wheels to 300 feet, as you can see here in the video. Tommy puts no input into the steering wheel until the front end comes down. When it comes down, it's a little bit loose, and he couldn't grab the scramble to keep up with the Mustang in the left-hand lane. So he had no choice but to let the guy drive away from him. So that was it for Tommy. Unfortunately, you know, there was some oil leaks there, and it's not on purpose, but I was, you know, concerned being his father and watching two cars nearly crash right in front of Tommy. I made it clear to Tommy not to grab that scramble unless he was 1,000% confident the car was going to be okay. We didn't think that the Falcon was going to carry the front wheels. I think what we screwed up there was that the density altitude was really good, better than we've ever had since we've had the Falcon, and it made a little bit more power than Billy was expecting. So had the Falcon kept the front wheels on the track, or maybe even just set them down 60 feet out, and it was glued. Tommy may have went ahead and grabbed the scramble because it was stuck until 300 feet. But you know, the faster these cars go, the wider the oil spreads. And in all honesty, when you get down past 300 feet at Brown County, the surface is pretty porous. So there's really not much you can do about cleaning up oil. You can do your best, but literally without taking alcohol and a torch to it, there's nothing you can really do with it. So the track crew did absolutely a phenomenal job all night. I can't thank them enough. I thanked them every time they went out there to mop up those spills because, you know, it's my kids. But guys, if you're out there and you're watching this, take it seriously. If somebody comes back and says you're leaking something, don't bring the damn thing back up there leaking. Just don't. You know, it can get people hurt, get people killed. It can, you know, it can cause some serious problems. And it almost crashed 2 cars ahead of Tommy. And I told Tommy, it's sketchy, it's bad. You know, I told him that Nick had leaked again, and he understood that. So, you know, I think Tommy could have run with that Mustang had he been confident in the lane, but he definitely wasn't. But it is what it is. We love that place. We'll be back as soon as we can get back down there. Brown County Dragway. I love that place. Anyway, guys, it's getting late and it's about to start raining here. And when it starts raining, the sound on the tin roof screws up my audio, and Vicky's inside. She's asleep. Billy's over here on the other side of the shop doing orders. We'll go talk to him for a minute and then before we get off here. All right, man. What do you think of Brown County?
That's one of my new favorite tracks. I really like the atmosphere.
They did
reminded me a lot of KD.
Yeah, it did. They did a freaking amazing job with announcing and the DJ. Like, the 2 announcers and everybody, like, they kept it rolling really good. No downtime unless there was a leak or crash.
Jamie Deere did an awesome job announcing. I think he usually does like motocross and the hill climb stuff. I think that's how I met Jeff. And Jeff really knocked it out of the park, hiring him to do these races.
Absolutely, man. That was amazing. And the backdrop and like the scenery down there is just beautiful. It's like a campground with a racetrack.
Yeah, it's super nice place. Awesome people. We sold a lot of merchandise. Met a lot of new people that we usually don't get to see. And it was nice being somewhere where there wasn't like 5 million YouTube channels.
Yeah.
I saw somebody mention tonight that it was nice seeing our video first before everybody else's. And it's not that we were just fast about it, which, I mean, it was a couple day turnaround on the video, but you know, it's a lot. It's nice when you can go somewhere out of town, and Ohio's getting a little bit saturated for that stuff, so it's kind of nice to take a trip and go to new places.
So what do we got going on this week? We're going to go look at a truck tomorrow to pull the trailer with.
We're going to go look at a diesel truck tomorrow. Maybe 2 of them. We'll see.
Okay.
If one pans out, you know, we'll just see how it turns out. But we got to do some maintenance this week on the Falcon. We need to change the oil on it. Depending on where we end up going, we may have to move some weight around.
Right.
I want to look into some solutions for mounting weight on the front of it in case we end up at like US 60, because that'll be pretty fast. We're going to have to mount like 50 pounds on the nose of it to keep it down.
Right.
I don't want to do travel limiters. I don't like them.
I don't either.
If we can put 50 on the nose and keep it down, I think that's the way to go. But,
all right. Well, it's pouring down rain, and I don't know how good the audio is going to be, so let's get off here.
all right.
Let's turn in for tonight. We'll hit it again tomorrow.